In the shadow of a sleeping giant, the city of Pompeii is waking up. A baker slides bread into a scorching oven. In a fancy villa, a politician argues about the price of wine, his voice echoing in a sunlit courtyard. Kids are chasing each other down narrow cobblestone alleys, their laughter mixing with the noise of a busy Roman port. It's a day like any other in 79 AD. Life is vibrant, it's normal, and it's completely, utterly oblivious.
These people have no idea that in a few hours, none of this will exist. That bread will never be eaten. The argument over wine will never be resolved. The children's laughter will be silenced forever. They are living the last precious moments of Pompeii, and they don't have a clue.
This is the story of their final, terrifying hours, pieced together from the words of those who watched the mountain awaken and the stories of those who were frozen in time.
A city of life. Before it was a city of ghosts, Pompeii was a jewel of the Roman Empire, a buzzing hub of commerce and culture on the stunning Bay of Naples. It was home to somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 people. Its streets were a maze of shops, taverns, and grand public buildings. Wealthy Romans flocked here, building lavish villas decorated with detailed mosaics and bright frescoes, escaping the chaos of Rome.
Looming over this perfect picture was Mount Vesuvius. But for the people of Pompeii, it wasn't a threat, it was a gift. Its volcanic soil made the surrounding land incredibly fertile, perfect for the grapes and olives that powered their economy. They'd forgotten the mountain had a fiery past. Its last big eruption was hundreds of years before.
They were, however, used to the ground shaking. A huge earthquake had rocked the area back in 62 AD, causing massive damage. For over 15 years, the city had been in a constant state of rebuilding. So when the ground started trembling in the days leading up to the disaster, most people didn't think much of it. They were used to tremors. This was their normalcy bias, a psychological blind spot that would prove absolutely fatal. They couldn't imagine these weren't just routine quakes, but the death throes of a mountain about to be violently reborn.
The mountain awakes. For centuries, historians believe the end began on a summer day, August 24th, based on a copy of a letter from the only eyewitness. But archaeological clues, like autumn fruits, warmer clothing, and even a charcoal scribble on a wall dated mid-October, suggest the eruption actually happened 2 months later, likely in October.
Whatever the month, the day it happened started out clear. Then, around midday, the first sign of doom arrived. With a deafening boom heard for miles, the top of Mount Vesuvius blew apart.
Across the bay in Misenum, a 17-year-old named Pliny the Younger watched, terrified. He would later write the only surviving eyewitness account of the eruption. He described a cloud of bizarre size and shape shooting into the sky, comparing it to a giant pine tree that rose on a long trunk and then spread out into branches.
That pine tree was a column of superheated gas, ash, and pulverized rock blasting more than 20 miles into the stratosphere. As it lost power, its deadly cargo began to fall. At first, it wasn't fine ash, but lightweight pumice stones, some as big as your fist.
For the people of Pompeii, the sky turned black as day became night. Panic erupted. Pumice stones rained down relentlessly, piling up several inches every hour. This first phase of the eruption went on for about 18 hours, giving many people a chance to escape. Thousands fled, grabbing whatever they could. But many others decided to stay, thinking they'd be safer inside, just waiting for the weird storm to pass. It was a fatal mistake. As the pumice piled up, its weight became immense. Roofs began to creak, then splinter, and then collapse, burying entire families who had sought shelter in their own homes.
The longest night. As the hours crawled by, the city was buried deeper and deeper. The sun was gone, blotted out by thick, choking ash. The only light came from the terrifying flames licking the sides of Vesuvius. The air grew thick with suffocating dust and the rotten egg smell of sulfurous gas. For anyone trapped inside, the world was now a prison. The pumice blocked doorways and windows, sealing them in. We know from archaeological discoveries how one desperate family tried to barricade a door with a bed frame as volcanic material piled up outside. They were found in their final, failed refuge. The very homes they thought would save them were becoming their tombs. Archaeology tells their stories. In one room, the remains of 2 women and a child were found. They died when the attic above them gave way under the sheer weight of the pumice. Killed not by fire, but by the walls they thought would protect them. The fire and the fury. While Pompeii was being buried, its neighbor, Herculaneum, faced something even more terrifying. In the early hours of the morning, the massive column of ash and gas above Vesuvius, now heavy and unstable, collapsed in on itself. This unleashed the first pyroclastic surge, a dense, superheated avalanche of ash and gas that rocketed down the mountain at over 100 miles per hour. It slammed into Herculaneum with unbelievable force. The temperature inside this cloud was over 500 degrees Celsius, 930 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to kill instantly. The hundreds of people who had run to the boat sheds on the beach, hoping to be rescued from the sea, died in a fraction of a second from the intense heat. Then, it was Pompeii's turn. Starting around dawn, a series of pyroclastic surges swept over the city, one after another. This was the end. Anyone left alive was killed in an instant. Temperatures in these surges were still estimated to be a blistering 250 to 300 degrees Celsius, 480 to 570 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat was so extreme, it seared their lungs and flash-cooked their bodies. It was this final, horrific event that created Pompeii's most haunting legacy. The fine, wet ash from the surges packed around the bodies of the dead, capturing their final poses. As the bodies decayed over the centuries, they left behind hollow voids in the hardened volcanic rock, a perfect mold of their last moment on Earth. The story of Pompeii doesn't end with its destruction. In many ways, that's where it begins. If stories like Pompeii fascinate you, where history, mystery, and discovery meet, subscribe to Sensei Mystery and join us for the next investigation.
A city rediscovered. For nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii lay buried and forgotten under meters of volcanic debris. The depth varied, but was up to 6 meters, 20 feet or more in some areas. Its very name and location were lost. The site was stumbled upon accidentally in the late 16th century by an architect digging a canal, but he seems to have kept the finding quiet, and nothing came of it. Serious, systematic excavations didn't begin until the 1740s, after the nearby city of Herculaneum was rediscovered.
For the first time, the world had a direct window into an ancient Roman city. But the most moving discovery came much later. In the 1860s, an archaeologist named Giuseppe Fiorelli had a brilliant idea. As his workers found more of these strange cavities in the hardened ash, he realized what they were. Instead of digging through them, he had his team carefully pump them full of liquid plaster. When the plaster hardened and they chipped away the surrounding ash, the results were both breathtaking and horrifying. The final moments of Vesuvius's victims were revealed. These are not statues. They're plaster casts of the empty spaces left by the bodies, capturing the very last second of life. A man curled into a ball. A dog writhing on its back. A mother shielding her child with her own body. A couple holding each other in a final embrace. Each cast tells a powerful personal story of love, desperation, and terror. They are a gut-wrenching link to the human tragedy of that day. And new discoveries are still happening. Advanced imaging techniques are letting us read faded graffiti of insults and declarations of love, while computational methods are helping archaeologists reconstruct the very faces of the victims. Pompeii is so much more than a ruin. It's a city frozen in time, an unmatched snapshot of life and death in the Roman Empire. The eruption of Vesuvius was a terrifyingly fast event, wiping a city off the map in about a day. But in doing so, it created an incredible time capsule, preserving buildings, art, and the tiny details of daily life that would have otherwise been lost forever.
The plaster casts, the carbonized loaves of bread still in their ovens, the political slogans scrawled on the walls, they all speak to us across 2 millennia. They remind us that the people of Pompeii weren't so different from us. They loved, they worked, they feared. And in the end, they were just people caught in a catastrophe too big and too fast to possibly comprehend. The story of Pompeii is a chilling reminder of the awesome power of nature. But it's also a profound story of preservation, discovery, and the human connection that links us to our past. It's the story of the day that time stopped
forever.